Hey folks, welcome to another day, another unboxing. And yes, I gave you the Pixel 5 recently, but this is a Pixel 4a 5G. I actually got them at the same time, but I had to review the Pixel 5. You should check my review on hothardware.com. But this I didn't have time to deal with at the time, so here's my unboxing video. As you can see, it says Pixel 4a 5G, Google logo, 5G, iMaze at the bottom, hashtag Team Pixel. Let's get started. 1 and 2. Woohoo! All right. Let's get this started. Dun, 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 dun. Got a little indent in there. This is going to be very similar to our experience with the 5. Here is the phone, which we'll get to in a second. Got a divider. We got the same documentation as before from Google. So let's pull that out. First up, we get some instructions, how to set up the phone. And then we have in the back some other languages. We have a warranty thing and a SIM holder tool. Next up, we've got the charger, 18 watt, USB Type-C. I will leave this up if you want to look at it. And then, of course, we have a USB Type-C to Type-C cable here, as expected for this charger. And then we have the same little adapter. I'm not going to take it out. It's a USB Type A male to C female. The idea is that you can plug in your old cable from your old phone to your new Pixel and transfer over in case you don't have a USB Type C to Type C cable. All right, so let's look at the phone real quick by removing this. And trust me, it didn't make a sound. Firing it up. So, as you can see, this phone is the biggest of the three at 6.2 inches. The Pixel 5 is 6 inches and the 4a is 5.8 inches. They all have the same resolution and OLED kind of display. 1080p, of course. We've got a hole punch camera up here. This is an 8 megapixel f/2.0 1.12 micron camera, same as the Pixel 4a, same as the Pixel 5. And again, other than the display size, this is a 60 hertz panel. The Pixel 5 is the only one that has a 90 hertz panel. And there's a bit of a chin, just like the 4a, but the 5 does not have that chin. Other than that, the bezels are pretty small. It's a nice OLED, good colors, good viewing angles, pretty much what you'd expect. So specs-wise, it's also a dead ringer of the Pixel 5. It has the same camera bump with the same cameras, and I'll get to that in a second. It's got a slightly smaller battery than the Pixel 5, which is kind of unusual because, you know, the Pixel 5 is 4,080 milliamp hour. This is 3,885 milliamp hours, so not that much small, about 200 milliamps, but very strange. This is a unibody polycarbonate plastic build instead of aluminum coated in some sort of resin, which is what the 5 is. So same exact build as the Pixel 4a. So it's called Just Black. This color is the only color available. So yeah, this is a $499 phone. And spec-wise, it's got a Snapdragon 765G, 6 gigs of RAM versus 8 on the Pixel 5, and 128 gigs of storage. So it's very much similar in specs to the Pixel 5. So it's $200 cheaper. And you know, you get 5G and everything, get the same processor, same speed, but a little less RAM, a slightly bigger display, a slightly smaller battery, right? So that's actually a pretty good deal. Now, the plastic isn't the only difference. There is no wireless charging on this phone, which is on the 5. There is no water resistance on this phone, which is also on the 5. But like the 4a, it has a headphone jack, which the 5 is lacking. So you get that, and that is nice. Speaking of the edges, we've got a power lock key here. It's a white colored one, and then we have a volume rocker, black. We now have speakers, microphones, and a USB Type-C port. This has stereo audio. It uses the earpiece up here for the second channel. On the left-hand side, we have the SIM slot. No micro SD, but there's an eSIM in this phone as well. And on top, you have the headphone jack, secondary microphone. No surprises. Now, there's a fingerprint sensor in the back, like the 4a and the 5. Again, no surprises. Google logo. So these cameras, let's talk about them. They're exactly the same as the Pixel 5. The main sensor is a 12 megapixel f/1.7, 1.4 micron sensor with optical image stabilization and dual pixel autofocus. This is a pretty solid sensor. It's been essentially the same since like the Pixel 3 or Pixel 2. And now there's an ultra wide. It's a 16 megapixel f/2.2, 1 micron pixels. That is the same as the Pixel 5. There's also a flicker sensor down here and a flash. So nothing too unusual. So that's it, folks. That's it in a nutshell. The Pixel 4a 5G sits between price-wise the 4a at $349 and the 5 at $799 by costing $599, but it's the bigger of the three in terms of size, 6.2 inches, and the middle of the three in terms of battery at 3885 milliamp hours. But yeah, there's no surprises here. It's got all the googly goodness, all the great software, all the great camera features that we expect. So if you can live without wireless charging, which for me is the biggest thing, I can kind of be careful with the water resistance thing. And you know, if you can also handle refresh rates that's just 60 hertz, this is a no-brainer at $500. Like, there's a lot of phones, Snapdragon 765G, that are around $500, and honestly, you know, they're all okay, but this I think is better than most. Like the OnePlus Nord, this is a really good option. So consider that, and folks, stay tuned. I'll have more very soon. This is the Pixel 4a 5G. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, comment below. Would you buy this? Would you buy the Pixel 5? Would you not care about 5G and buy the Pixel 4a base? Like, let me know. I'd be curious to find out what your thoughts are. And of course, click the notification bell to get notified, right? Finally, I want to tell you the same thing I say on every video. This is a compliment to the Mobile Tech Podcast at mobiletechpodcast.com. You should subscribe. You should go there. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Spotify. I just talked about this phone in episode 186. You should listen, and that way you'll know my thoughts about it. All right, folks, that's it. Cheers, everybody.